Amazing. And we are live. Welcome, everyone. May is Sexual Assault Prevention Month, and we are here with the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. Please be sure to tune into all of our social medias as we have lots of giveaways, fundraisers, and information and support surrounding Sexual Assault Prevention Month. The discussion today is going to be looking at the Peterborough perspective of sexual violence. So please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Peterborough, Mayor Diane Therrien. Welcome. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Sexual Assault Prevention Month.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for all the work that you do on this.
Amazing. So I guess before we dive into it, what does Sexual Assault Prevention Month mean to you?
Wow, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, as somebody who's, a survivor of, sexual assault, like so many other women in our community, I think that raising awareness and kind of breaking down stigma is really important. And also just letting folks know what resources are available. We know that a lot of the times people don't go to the police, but there are other ways that you can get help, support and therapy and different ways to work through it. So I think, having a month where you're focused on having these difficult conversations and, hopefully even if they reach a couple people, that's to me really helpful. Mm-hmm. And I know that you guys reach much more than that.
Yeah, especially with everything being online now, we are helping people all over the world, and that healing just looks so different for everyone, and everyone's on a different path. What has changed for you, maybe regarding sexual assault prevention over the last year with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we hear a lot about the concerns of, intimate partner violence and the fact that we've all sort of been stuck at home. And so I think it's more important perhaps now than ever to make sure that people know what supports are out there and how they can access them. And that, the one sort of upside is that so many things have moved online now. So you're able to access them basically at any time of the day if needed. So it's been a long year with COVID, and everybody's been stressed and frustrated. And so if you add in, people that have gone through, sexual violence or anything like that over the last year, it's, I can't imagine how isolating it can feel and how alone people feel, but you're not alone, right? And there are supports for you available.
Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, do you have any community shout outs that you want to give? I know you said hi to us, amazing. But was there any other kind of community supports in the Peterborough region that you want to give a shout out to that have been either working with or supporting survivors of sexual violence?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Forecast has free services. The YW always does great work. We have our MP is the Minister of Women's and Gender Equality. And so I know that it's very important to her to put money into programs to help women who might have to be fleeing domestic violence. I sit on the Police Services Board, and I know that this is something that they're, increasingly taking training in and recognizing the severity of and trying to understand the reasons why people don't come forward. Because that's a big thing that we need to work on. Our post-secondary institutions have also been, I think, stepping up and really trying to do more work around, not just students, but, faculty and everybody around what this looks like, what to do if a student approaches you and lets you know that something's happened and how to respond. So there's a lot out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And, I think that we're both very lucky to be part of a community like this. And I know that our supports extend beyond to Kawartha Lakes, Haliburton, and Northumberland, but not to prioritize anything, but Peterborough is pretty special in how we collaborate, and we do collaborate with other agencies beyond Peterborough, but I think that collaboration is really what makes Peterborough very special and how we all work together.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know that, again, For example, the police have been working with other forces about, victims of trafficking, because that's something that we've seen a rise in, and we know is a problem in Peterborough, so, and around. But again, sharing that information and trying to make sure that folks are aware of what to look for, or what seems suspicious, kind of having those educational campaigns about it, I think is really important too. And our local media has been pretty good about covering some of those things as well, which is so important to get those messages out there.
Yes, we did an interview with YW and us as well. So it's amazing to have this community come together, and especially when we think of the intersectional factors of sexual violence, and that we see the stats in Canada that 1 in 3 women, 1 in 8 men, and 1 in 2 trans and non-binary folks will experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. But when we break that down a little bit and look at Indigenous populations, people of color, people with disability, socioeconomic status, all of a sudden we see a dramatic increase. I know we have Angela from CRRC on here speaking about that. Is there anything that you wanted to add to that aspect of the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to have those conversations as well. And the Elizabeth Fry Society had their Rebel with a Cause event last week, and we were talking about the importance of having that intersectional approach, because we know, and it was May 5th, it was the day where we recognize and take action on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, which is still an ongoing crisis in Canada that we need more action on, not just talk, but action. And because we know that Indigenous women are more likely to experience sexual violence, but also more likely to be incarcerated. So there's so many different levels of it, and trying to get the awareness among the general population about that, I think, is really important. And the Race Relations Committee does such great work on that front, for sure. They're like, Angela's awesome, and she's, just a powerhouse.
So, you've been talking about this message. So I guess I want to hear from you, for the survivors that are out there listening to you right now, as someone who is also a survivor, what message do you have for them as the mayor of Peterborough?
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because, my experiences, some of them were when I was younger, and you don't really understand what's going on. You don't really understand, and looking back on it, it's like, oh my gosh, but you just don't know what to do. And so I think it's good that we're having more of these open conversations, hopefully, so that young folks kind of are aware that if that something like that happens, it is in the wrong, and that they can have supports for that. I think it's also important, and we know that sexual assault doesn't just happen to women, right? But I think it really also is important for men to call out behaviors when they see it. I know that I've had to call out some of my council colleagues over the years for like commenting on what I wear, or like, my fertility status. And like, it's just like, that's not cool. And I think younger generations really realize that and are like empowered in different ways, especially through like TikTok's a great example. TikTok's really fun and funny sometimes, but there's also really poignant, like informative videos on there that people are using to spread that message. So I don't know if that's directly answering your question, but just to anybody out there who's going through that, like, you're not alone. Don't be afraid to reach out. There are different groups that you can, join online, and you can not have to use even your real name or your camera if you don't want to. And just, it's not your fault. And we have to, all of us have to do a better job at calling out problematic and violent behavior.
And it's interesting that you mentioned men. We do have our mending program here, and next week Lucas is going to be, he's our mending coordinator, is going to be inundating our social media feeds with how men can be involved in this conversation, both as upstanders to sexual violence, but even as survivors and navigating that. And so you mentioned about all of us coming together, and I'm wondering, what is your message to the supporters of survivors in our community during Sexual Assault Prevention Month and even beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think just, you know, if somebody has come to you to talk about it, don't say like, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. You know, just listen, and provide support however you can. I think it's just really important. And this is, you know, similar for folks that are going through mental health issues, which are so often related, and, you know, or addictions issues, again, which are all related. It's just important for people to know that that you're not alone. And if you don't have somebody at home, or even within your like close group, reach out online, reach out to KSAC and these other organizations, because there's folks here that want to help and who can help and will do everything they can to make sure that you're supported and know that you're not alone, and that you know, the healing can be done, you know.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And now the last kind of question, do you have any final messages from the mayor of City of Peterborough surrounding this month, the work that you're doing for this community? Any kind of final messages for everyone?
I would say it's just important for those that can to support organizations like KSAC and others. And if you can't do it financially, you can also, you know, volunteers are always needed, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Oh, yeah,
yes. And I mean, one of the great things about Peterborough is that there's so many people so passionately involved in making our community a better place. And so there's lots of organizations out there that would love to have volunteer help, and that would, you know, that are there for you. And so the city will continue to do what it can on, you know, on our front to fight for that equality and to fight for, you know, justice. And again, we call on, you know, some of the men to, you know, challenge what they hear and, you know, jokes and anything like that. And, you know, and women to do it too. You know, it's not always comfortable, but I've had to say to men sometimes, like, that's not appropriate. Like, I'm young enough to be your granddaughter. So like, that's also creepy, you know, so, yeah. But it's hard. I know not everybody's, you know, feels comfortable doing that. And especially if you're in a different workplace or depending on the power dynamic, it can be hard. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's really all I can offer, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, the bystander intervention part is so important to this, and knowing that the direct intervention isn't the only opportunity. And we have lots of different workshops that we go through with different ways to interject on these conversations, whether you're experiencing it yourself or you're witnessing that, right? Like if you're witnessing someone say this inappropriate comment, how can you interject in a way that's effective, but also de-escalate?
Yeah, and that also, won't escalate things, right? Because that's something that women are often afraid of. And that's where it helps if other men will stand up, but that's, you know, ongoing work that we're doing.
It really is. Well, Diane, thank you so much for being a part of this and for sharing your voice and being an outspoken survivor. I think that it's so important for all of us to come together to end this, because it's happening way too much and way too and to way too many people, and more people than we realize, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much, and let me know what else I can do. I mean, happy to promote on social media and any other way that I can be of support.
Oh, we definitely will be reaching out. We're always in contact.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. The Kawartha Sexual Assault Center does have their 24/7 lines of support. We have some incredible volunteers and peer supporters that are part of this, whether you're connecting with us over the phone, text, or our web chat at kawarthasexualassaultcenter.com. There you can get connected to all of our 24/7 crisis lines of support, as well as our services and social medias. So thank you everyone so much for joining, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks everybody.